Welcome to the Creative Point of View podcast. My name is Ethan.
Noah.
Marquis.
And Noah, introduce our guest for this episode.
Yeah, so we got my boy Dylan Smidt here with us. And Dylan is an artist and designer and just all-around creative. And so let's just start things off with telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what you do.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I'm from West Des Moines. I'm currently at university, Ave Maria University in Florida. So I'm in my second year there. I started a small brand a couple years ago called Radical Love. And so I'm still doing that. And wrote a book a couple years ago. So I've just started to get into creating things, and I've really enjoyed it. So
yeah, that's sick, man. Cool. Yeah, glad to have you on. So tell us about what got you into writing, designing. Give us a little backstory.
Yeah, I would just say it was something I had an inclination towards. I would always do portraits in school and stuff like that. So I was drawing during class or just doing anything creative. And then basketball was my main passion growing up for a while. And then I tore my ACL, so I was out for a year. And that's kind of when I got back into the arts. That was kind of when I started to take importance in faith as well. Mm-hmm. And so then I was asking God my purpose a lot, and I was oh, it's actually bigger than just going to school, going to practice, going home. There's something I can do with ideas He's given me. There's something to do with my hands, with what I can create. And so I just started making more art just for something to do at home, and that just kind of carried on. And I started to see that I can build community through it, meet a lot of people, network, and it just kind of kept going.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's super dope.
How did your faith journey kind of impact what you're doing now with your brand?
I would say it's definitely the reason for it. Because my first shirt, I wasn't thinking about making a brand. This was never in my plans. I made a shirt that said Radical Love on it and had Jesus on the back, a drawing of him. And I was wearing it on a retreat and stuff, and someone really noticed it and it impacted them a lot. And they're oh, where can I buy one? Where can I get one? What brand is this? And I was oh, I made it. And that was kind of the first time I saw oh, someone else actually would like it. I wasn't even into clothes like that.
Yeah.
I would just wear whatever. But then I would start wearing it to school, and then people wanted it. So I started making some and did my first collection, and then people would wear it on jeans days and stuff. And I was okay, now I can run with this. But it was faith behind it. It's ministry, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
If you could say that. But
yeah.
How would you say that, designing and Radical Love, how would you say that you see, I don't know, you said purpose means a lot to you.
Yeah.
How do you see that come out in doing that?
Yeah. Well, I would just say Jesus is love, God is love. So that's what Radical Love meant to me, is his life. And so the purpose of it for me is, okay, I know what he's done for me. I know what my life is with him. So this is the biggest thing for me. So if I can share this with someone else in a way that's approachable too, because a lot of people like clothes, they like designs, or art in general. So that's just a way to speak to people's hearts. And that's where I saw, okay, this is just, you could say it's just a t-shirt or just pants or whatever, but if you have the intention and the purpose behind it, I feel God can use a lot of different things for his purpose.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. What was one of your biggest influence when creating Radical Love, as far as other designers, other creatives? Was there any influence outside of your circle that influenced you with Radical Love a lot?
I would say Montel Fish.
Mm-hmm.
I know Noah listened to him at the time too. I was watching his YouTube videos, and he was doing awesome music, poetry. He was into fashion a little bit as well, and I was just trying to see like a young person just like really like sharing their heart and pouring their heart out and doing authentic art. And it was just, it was powerful to me being a kid in high school and relating to him a lot. And I was just seeing that.
Yeah.
It was powerful for me. And like, I think I was listening to his music a lot during that time. So that was definitely
Shout out
big
Montel
influence.
Fisher, been an influence to you.
Yeah.
That's sick, dude. So what do you see in the future for Radical Love, and like what do you really, I guess, like, I mean, you've built a brand kind of for it, you know, which is dope, but like what do you see futuristically, kind of how it'll grow, evolve, you know, and hopefully inspire others?
Yeah. I'd like to do some more things just to build the community. So a couple weeks ago when I was doing my shoe release, I had an event on the beach, and we did this last year too. But just getting people together, students from the school, friends, people I hadn't met before. We got together, we read my favorite part of the Bible, the first letter of John, chapter 4. And it, like, the God is love part, and we love because he first loved us. And so we got in a circle, we read that, and opened it in prayer, but the rest of the time I was just making Shirley temples for everyone. Everyone was just had tiki torches. People were just living life. So I feel like that kind of opened my eyes to, and I saw like how I can grow through that too. Yeah. Because normally I would like, well, I didn't really want to start the brand to begin with. It wasn't in my plans. But then I saw it and I was like, okay, this is kind of a way where I can lay my efforts down, lay whatever I'm doing down, and hopefully get something going from that that's worth it. So I'd like to do a new like club at school is like one idea I have, where I have a lot of like friends that I'll play tennis with, just because we all enjoy it. And so I'm thinking of doing that next, because the theme for this year for the brand for me is resort. And like Jesus is the Prince of Peace, like peace beyond understanding, like living life with him is like luxury sometimes. It feels like of just having that peace no matter what's going on. So that's kind of my idea. It'll be easier to do rather than saying. But I would like to get more stuff in person, maybe along the lines of like doing a retreat one day, maybe years down the line. I'm not like dependent on it for making it like my full-time thing. I'm like going to school for psychology. I want to be a psychotherapist.
Okay.
So if I one day have a psychotherapy practice, if that's what God has planned for me, then I still want to be able to make art and still be able to express myself and still write if I want to, still design. But also if I can give other people opportunities. Like right now I'm like working with a photographer at school. Shout out to Michelle Rubley. But like even that, like it's cool seeing someone else, like they get a lot out of it because they're getting creative again. They're like on fire about what they're doing and that passion. So if I can give a job to someone who is like a high school kid like me that really wanted to do, you know, graphic design or photo or
that's awesome.
Wherever it grows into, I didn't really want to do it to like start at close and stay there. But I feel like it's just an easy way to build community and get it going.
Yeah.
I don't want to skip over the part that you said you dropped a shoe.
Yeah.
You have your own shoe. That's crazy to me. That's dope.
Yeah.
That's really dope.
I could pull it up here if you want.
Yeah, let's show it off.
Show the people.
I don't think there's anybody else from Des Moines right now that has a shoe besides Julio has a shoe, right? Julio has a shoe. So
Shout out Demetrio too. Eternal. He has some good shoes.
those are fire.
Yeah, that's dope, man.
Sacred Hearts. So the Sacred Heart of Jesus and God is love. I know you guys had Austin in the last episode. He did this artwork.
Wow.
Yeah, man. That's, I mean, like, that's kind of like a, I don't know, what's the word I want to say? Like, kind of like just a pitch to Neil, who, like, how important networking is. Man.
Yeah.
Like that's huge, you know, that there's power in community, and dude, that's sick.
Where'd your inspiration come from with like designing that shoe? Was it a reason why you went low top instead of high top on that version, or what was the whole inspiration behind the shoe?
I mean, we know like everyone's wearing dunks now. If you pay attention to sneakers. So it was just kind of the easiest one to do at the time. I also have some high tops too. These are the Sistines. I dropped these in the fall, but these are still everywhere. Like on my website, I'll be able to keep selling them. But
that's awesome. So are they made to order or?
Yeah, these ones are made to order. The other one I'm doing pre-order, so I'm gonna do those till like St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah,
that'll probably be like a limited run. But the Sistines I've been doing since fall, so that one I'll keep up for a long time, at least while it still like stands with everything I'm doing.
Yeah. Can you tell us the story behind the Sistines and like kind of the design and the print on them and everything?
Yeah. So I'm a Catholic, grew up in the church, and the Sistine Chapel has always been really inspiring to me in Rome, and just the art there in general, and also just how it portrays the beauty of the body. And yeah, so that was impactful for me. I still like think about it a lot. And I remember one night just like designing in my room. It was like super late in my dorm room, but it was just like in my mind, like, oh, this painting, like the Redemption of Man painting, but make it all purple. So I did like all purple tones. And then for whatever reason, I don't even know why that came to my mind, but it like meant something to me at the time. And I started doing shorts with it, and made the black version too, with it all black tones. And then Brandon Jennings got a pair of the shorts and the shoes too. And I was kind of seeing like, okay, this has like more of like a high fashion appeal rather than just like streetwear, because I don't know, we see a lot of like brands do like the high tops, and so that's kind of just where it came from. I was like, okay, I can. This is Michelangelo's art, but how can I present it in a way? Because a lot of people have seen Sistine Chapel or like the creation of Adam with like the fingers touching, and but I think just pointing to sacred art was important to me, and presenting it to the youth too.
Yeah. So you said Brandon Jennings got your stuff? That's crazy.
That's dope. That's crazy.
That's crazy, man.
He's got a brand, right?
Yeah, Tough Crowd.
Tough crowd. Dang. Yeah, shout out Brandon Jennings.
Yeah. That helped me a lot.
So what like obviously, you know, hooking Brandon Jennings up with like stuff. Do you have any other experiences that you'd want to share or be like, oh yeah, like I just love doing what you do? Or
that's kind of the interesting part for me, is because I've kind of like made kind of a variety of things, but it's all like the same theme.
Sure.
So sometimes when I meet somebody, they're either like all for it or they're just like whatever, which is obviously how it is for anything. I think he was the one that was like impactful to me, because like at the same time that I was paying a lot of attention to Montel, I was also paying attention to him, because this is like who I always watched, so I could learn how to dribble, how to do these moves, like slow it down on YouTube. How can I do that?
Yeah.
Like growing up as a point guard. So then seeing him retire and start a clothing line was dope, because I was like, oh, this isn't just like for this only section of people who are like artsy people.
Yeah.
Only they can do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it made it like, just seeing it happen obviously made it more possible for me. So that was one of the bigger ones. I don't have like a ton of stories. For me, it's just really cool when I meet a stranger and they really like it and we can connect on that. And I would say like more than like getting the product out there, the network that's come from it has been like worth more than anything.
Who are some people from Des Moines that you have like connected with through this journey?
Tobias, you guys probably know.
Yeah.
He shot for my first collection. Terrell isn't here before, we were talking about him earlier, but he modeled for me. Grace Horak, I was working at the Gap at the time, she modeled for me. Let's see. I was shooting with Christopher Scott when he was here.
Shout out Chris.
Miss
Austin
that guy.
Neal, Nick Robinson, all of UVT basically, Space, Fly Life, Rio. There's just a lot. It's
Yeah.
kind of like it's a pretty tight knit group.
I was about to say we kind of touched on that in the last episode. Like, there's something about Des Moines and I've only been here a year, but it's very family oriented.
Yeah.
You know, like everyone, they kind of got each other's back in the creative community, which is really dope.
Yeah, that was something I like didn't know at all until I went on Phoenix's podcast. I think a lot of it too was through meeting Christopher, because I was just doing like senior photos, just like a lot of high school seniors do. But then meeting him and something like the outfit I was wearing for it, he was like, "Oh, you made all that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then he was kind of like showing me people, and that's like one person leads to another person and leads to a community. So
Yeah.
it definitely helped me, like having people to send to that I know like will give me honest feedback on a design I do, or just having people that inspire me, just like looking up to what they do, but then also be able to have friendships. And
That's good.
yeah.
Is there a difference in between like the Florida scene and the Des Moines scene? Like,
Yeah,
is there a huge
I
difference?
can't really speak to the Florida scene. I'm like pretty far. So I live like in a small town called Ave Maria, and we have like a couple creatives there, but it's really not the same because I go to a small school. It's like 1,500 kids, but I don't really know artists like outside of the community. So I don't really know.
All right.
We'll see.
How has like moving to Florida affected you creatively? Because like I know when you were in Des Moines, like that's when I first met you, and that's when like things were really getting going. And then just like a new space, maybe like it brings up new ideas and like stuff like that. Like, how's it just kind of affected your journey with Radical Love?
It's definitely impacted a lot. I think it was easy when I was in Des Moines, if that makes sense. Not like easy just in general, but it's easier to put something out, to have like some people know about it, and then to just roll with it. But then like going to a new place where no one knew my name, and then it really like tested it in good ways, I think, because I learned a lot of like just in terms of business and doing artwork and how to work with people, and also like how to present it to people, because there was a lot of students at the school that connected a lot with it, which I'm seeing now, which is helping me so much with like my friend Michelle and Henry. They've like really like come alongside me and wanted to like just put in work and like build this thing, which is kind of crazy to me, because it was like, oh, this is just like some idea I had, not really like thinking much of it, but having people come around, build a team, like, oh, like what can I, like having a lot of people model or do whatever they can, has definitely like made me have a lot of hope in it and kind of keep building, because just seeing that encouraged me.
Yeah. How have you grown as a person, just like moving away and stuff?
I feel like I've learned like boundaries, like how to have like hard conversations and things, like just moving into a new place, as well as just like how to. It's like kind of a lot all at once. There was a lot of things I had to learn. I guess just that independence and freedom and how to use that the best I can.
Yeah.
I want to kind of backtrack a little bit. You mentioned the community in Des Moines, and that there's a lot of creatives that you look up to. Is there any, whether it's local or any designer in general, like who you kind of gain inspiration from, that you kind of want to model, not your style, but like just certain pieces or things that you want to draw inspiration from?
Yeah. Austin's definitely a major one. Taylor Canistro too. I liked his brand a long time ago, because like Austin would wear his glasses, and I was like, oh, where are those from? And I like bought a pair the same night, and I was like, wow, this guy is like awesome. And I wanted to like save up and get his stuff, and then he moved here, and now we get to hang out a lot and see. I get to like see firsthand his work, so that's inspired me. I would say those are the main two that I like get inspiration from.
That's dope.
Yeah.
What are some like projects that you got coming up this year? Like I know you said the theme for the year is like resort.
Yeah.
And you've shown us some of your pieces that you've dropped recently. And so like what can we be like expecting and like on the lookout for? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just trying to take it like outside the box a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So I've got like pajamas.
Okay.
I've got like there's just like a lot of like specific like themed things. Like I don't want to like say too much because I don't know what's actually gonna come on the back end.
Right.
But like for a while I was just like made like the tennis ball with my logo on it, or just kind of like I would just say like country club vibe type of things.
Yeah.
And trying to like, because I love like the hoodies and the simple stuff that like people can wear every day, but I also just wanted to like use better art and take it a little bit further. But yeah.
What is the process like when it comes to making like shoes and like, your own clothing and stuff? Because I feel like there are different processes out there, but like talk to us about like manufacturers and stuff like that. Because I feel like a lot of people would benefit from like just hearing like steps and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I recommend the company Printful, at least for getting started. It's like print on demand. So it's not the best like business model wise, but it depends on how you use it. But that's how I made the high top shoes. That's how I made like a lot of my shorts, some of the hoodies. I feel like that was a good place for me to get started. Manufacturers, that's like the back end part of it. That's like sometimes it's really easy. Sometimes it can be a headache, but that's like, like with these new shoes doing the pre-order, like, okay, how do I get to this certain number? So it works out on their end and get everyone's size right and everything. So it's definitely like the harder part of it that isn't always as fun as doing art. But I've kind of started to like realize that we're in 2023 and there's so many opportunities, like more than ever before when it comes to this type of stuff. So it's like, if you have an idea, like 9 times out of 10, you can bring it to reality. It's just a matter of finding the right person.
Yeah.
What do you see long term happening with the brand, and also like some immediate 2023 like goals that you hope to accomplish?
I'm letting it play out to see how this shoe release goes. I'd like to do like a fashion show. I think that would be fun. I'm trying to do a little bit more while I'm at school, because it like splitting time between 2 places kind of makes it so the brand could either grow or it just dies. So I'm trying to just let it grow organically. And for goals, I would just say like keep it rolling, because sometimes it's like a gamble making a new collection or making a new piece, because it either flops and lose money or it keeps going. So like God willing, I'll just make a lot of the things that I have designed, because I have plenty of things ready. It's just a matter of, when it'll work out and when it'll be practical.
Yeah, and if things flop, it's all good, because like failure is one of the biggest ways to learn too.
Yeah.
So consider that a victory too,
For sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you struggle with that's been a creative, as far as like creator's block, procrastination? Like, what's your kryptonite when it comes to your creativity?
I would say it's just if I doubt myself a lot, or that's probably the main one. And that's kind of why it's helped to like have some people be like, no, this is like amazing. I want to work, like, let's build this. Let's do the next thing. Let's get what you have in your head out, because before that, that's kind of can be my weakness, is I could just back myself out of it. So I would say that's the main one.
So having those people like around you, like, have you ever thought about like expanding the team? And like you said, one of your goals is to like bring people on and give other people opportunities. And so like, have you ever thought about growing your team?
I thought about it, yeah. I like at the point now, it's definitely like easier just doing it myself. But yeah, we'll just see what happens in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're currently enrolled in school for something that's not even not something related to, I would say, the, I don't know, tangible creative field.
Yeah.
I think being, psychotherapist would be creative in itself, but like whenever it comes to tangible creativity and what you're providing, what would you say is kind of, how do you balance that? How do you balance doing something that you're passionate about while also diving into something else that you're passionate about?
Yeah. I think it kind of just makes it easy for me. Like being, I think it was easier because I started it while I was in school. So it was like, okay, I've got my basketball season, I've got school going. This year I did like 2 sports seasons. I played football and basketball, and then I was doing all of my classes. And it kind of just helps me stay focused, I think, because there's like goals I have. I want to grow in this and this. But then if I focus on just one, sometimes I get burnt out. So it's kind of been helpful to have my hands a couple different places, and also just like, okay, like, God, I give this all to you. Like if something isn't for my future, like let the time tell like what is all in my path at a given time. But I think a lot of my inspiration comes from school, or comes from these other things that I'm involved in. So I'm kind of able to keep the inspiration rolling rather than, just like sitting at a desk on my computer, just trying to make something out of nothing.
Totally get that. So, the fashion field, I know a couple people who have actually gone into that as their major.
Yeah.
Do you see any ceiling to not having a degree or studying anything? Do you see like a lower ceiling to doing all this on your own than had you studied it in college?
I don't know how much I can speak to that, because my goal, at least right now, isn't necessarily to get a job in graphic design or a job for like another fashion company. It's not really what I'm trying to do. So I can definitely see it helping. I mean, I've worked at like screen printing places before, and they'll hire someone with a graphic design degree. So I definitely see the value in that. Personally, this is like the school I wanted to go to, and they didn't have it. So I probably would have like minored in it, or maybe taken more classes. But I feel like YouTube, great way to learn.
Absolutely.
But for me, I was like, either I'll learn how to do it, or I'll meet someone who knows how to do it. So if I have a dream, I feel like if it's meant to happen, the right things will come into place. I don't see like, and I was never that big of like a creative class type of person, or like entrepreneurship class type of person. Like, I like came in minoring in marketing, but then I was like talking to our entrepreneurship professor, and he's like, drop that minor, you're doing it. Like, you're going to learn along the way. If you ever want to have a conversation, we'll do that. But, we can just like talk all day, all year about starting something.
Right.
Or like, this is step, but you never really know until you take a step.
Absolutely.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it tough sometimes to differentiate, because you're not doing clothing design or graphic design as like a primary income? Sometimes is it hard to separate the two, being like, oh, I need to get this done? Or do you strictly keep it to, I'm doing this when I'm passionate about it and because I'm passionate about it. Because sometimes whenever you're working in the creative field, I know we've talked about like kind of creative block, but also like being like sometimes you just have to turn your mind off and do the work that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
But you know, since this isn't your primary source of
Yeah.
income, do you try and keep that boundary of like, no, I'm only gonna, you know, take this on whenever I'm mentally ready, or how do you go about that?
Yeah. So I'm coming up on 2 years on it. I did my first collection March of 21.
Cool.
So I feel like it's been like kind of easier to maintain because it's just what I love. And I kind of almost, it feels like an invitation to me. It's like an idea comes and it's like, oh, this is like an invitation to like lead into this, and let's see. This is just like a new way. I feel like it's kind of how I've like documented my time. It's almost been like testimony of my experience. Like each piece has a lot of meaning to me, and I'll remember like, oh, this is like what that point in time was. Like I know you guys are all photographers. It's almost like that. It's been like a way to just, I think that's what another reason why it's been easy, like not having a team and just doing it myself, because it's just whatever is on my heart at the time. And I don't know what it's like for like a brand that's like constantly putting things out and it's just like a machine.
Yeah.
Because I honestly haven't done like very much design work at all. Like those, like the shoes I was showing or something, that might have been a design I made, you know, like in 30 minutes or like less than an hour. I was just like, okay, here's that. And then it might be like months where I'm just running with it. But I feel like overall in time, I don't like spend every day designing. I design maybe like once every few weeks or once a month or something like that. So it's been, I don't feel like I get burnt out too easily. But if I was doing like, okay, I need to do shoots today, I need to design every day, I think it's a lot of weight to do a business all by yourself. I don't think that's like good idea. It's
Wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. So I feel like it's been easy for me to set it up this way. But again, I'm not like necessarily doing it the right way or the wrong way. So it's just maybe one day I'll learn more and be like, okay, I'm out of school now. I got bills to pay. This isn't like practical to put all this time into if I'm not actually going to dive in and make sense business wise. So I think there's just different stages to it. I'm at the stage now where I'm just making things with intention, and it's kind of just something I pour my heart into and a way to direct energy. But I don't, to what you were saying, I don't get like totally burnt out because I'm like, I have to do this. It doesn't really feel like a job to me.
It's cool.
I think that's huge, especially for our other creatives to hear. I think as creatives, we get into this sense of we constantly got to either be shooting, we constantly got to be filming, we constantly got to be designing or creating something in order to continue to put stuff out or to get better. When that's not the case, like you can honestly take your time, and if you want to create or design something here and there, then that's totally okay. You don't have to do it every day in order to be fulfilled.
We were talking about the community too. I feel like that's something I learned a lot from Austin, seeing what he was doing. He might do poetry, and that's like his thing at the time. And then fashion will come like months later. It's just like, I feel like I just can see it when I'm having conversations and just in day-to-day life. Like what's coming out is just like where he's at. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's, and like same with Tobias. I've seen that a lot of like, I feel like he's kept a consistent work going, or even the guys making music. I feel like I can just learn from them in the way that I don't think they're pushing it. They're definitely doing like great quality. But I don't think they're forcing it, because art is something you can't really force.
I think that's good to remember for anybody, is like art can't be forced. Oftentimes we do, and sometimes like, you know, art is purely subjective too. So it's I think it's all in like how you approach it and the attitude you bring to the project.
Some of the most beautiful art pieces are on accident too. Like
Yeah.
For
you
sure.
see some of those like painters that it's like, the splatter paint style, whatever. It's just like they can't control where that goes.
Yeah.
But, it turns out beautiful to somebody.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For me, the brand and the book was an accident. Like I was in graphic design class at school, and the teacher had me making my own curriculum because I was taking it for like the 4th time, because I was like, I'm learning graphic design in this. This is actually cool. And she's like, oh, shout out to Mrs. Cooper. She was like, I need you to like pick your projects. So I like flipped through my notebook, and I had God's Little Kiddo, which was my children's book. But I didn't like think of it as a book. I was just like, oh, here's the first drawing, and then here's all the pages. And she's like, oh, why don't you do that digitally and make it a book? And then I showed her just the picture of the one T-shirt I had. She's like, oh, make that a clothing line. And actually, when I was getting it printed, they messed it up. There was like a hoodie, and it like wasn't supposed to have Radical Love on it, but they printed it on. So then I just like threw it to my cousin, and then just like saw him wearing it every single day, and it actually like meaning something to him, like beyond just like, oh, this is my cousin, I'll be nice and just take it. So I was like, oh, okay. And then that actually was in my first collection.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been one of like the pieces that's kind of carried on more, is just a lot of people getting those hoodies.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
yeah.
You kind of already touched on it, but my next kind of line of questioning was I wanted to pivot from clothing to your book. I want to know more about that, like what you did with it. If you want to show people, you brought it with you, but like how that all came about. And I just think that's super cool.
So show the camera. It's called God's Little Kiddo. So I was just in class and had done my work for the day. So I was just drawing in my notebook, and this was just what was on my heart, is just each drawing.
Yeah.
And I didn't like erase anything. It just went once through. But then afterwards, I saw that there could be purpose with it, and got it like in the library at school, was selling it on Amazon. And then like students from my school would like go read it at elementary schools, like to kindergartners, or like a new baby is being born, and then like get it for like the new parents, and like just that like reminder that everyone is good, like we're created by God and like beautiful. Like I feel like that's contrary to like what we hear oftentimes, is like, oh, like some people are good or most people are good, but like that baby like holding the arms, like a beautiful human being made with purpose. And so that's just like what I wanted to communicate with it. Super small. I know a lot of people today in the like social media age, including me, we're not like avid readers all the time. And sometimes
it's bite size, but I mean, like it's also just how it's made and formed. It's like that's very digestible for a child, and honestly, like the message behind it is something that they need to hear. And, like,
it's inspiring to me how you're younger than I am, and you wrote a book already thinking about the next generation and kids. Like I don't meet a lot of people that are like that, and like I just feel like you're beyond your years.
Praise God. Thank you.
Yeah. That's super awesome, man. Yeah, really inspiring. I didn't even know about this coming into this conversation, so that's really cool, man.
Yeah, I didn't really speak to this in the future of the brand, but that's like, I think that might keep going. Is like make more books or like I'm inspired a lot by honestly like publishing houses and stuff. Like that's what I follow on social media. I'll see the author talking, and that's just, it means a lot to me. It's like someone's mind that they've been able to just share it with like so many people like that don't even know them. And so I would like to do more with books. Like technically I was like, okay, this is like under the umbrella of Radical Love. Like, okay, we have this book published, or like just small things like that. Because I don't want it to be limited to, oh, this is like a t-shirt company or something. I don't really even look at it like that. I just see it as ministry. So
that's cool, man.
I think a lot of people don't realize that writing is a creative outlet too.
Absolutely.
Just like how we had Holden on here for audio, and a lot of people don't understand that either. Like creativeness goes beyond just a camera,
For sure.
It goes beyond just,
computer or graphic design.
We were talking about this on Friday. Like, really what being a creative is, honestly, just being a problem solver and someone who can bring a solution to something that needs, whether it's a problem or whether it's something that needs to be brought to life. And really, you brought inspiration to life in book form. You bring it to life in clothing form. You bring it to life in design form. We bring it to life in video form. It's all in like bringing a solution and bringing value to something, and whether it's making something from nothing or putting pieces together and just making it fit. So I think that's really cool, man. Really inspiring what you're doing.
100%.
Awesome.
Have you ever thought about, like, if you ever have kids one day, that you can read that book to them?
Yeah, that's like my favorite. Like, I think I like the book, honestly, way more than the other stuff, even though it was like the most simple thing. It was like an accident. Just like seeing a baby holding that, or like pictures of like dad reading it to his like little kids. Oh, that's like another thing I want to work on soon too. I'm not sure what will happen with it, but I like designed a candle for like currently candles used to Mrs. Cooper used to be a guidance counselor at my school, of like having something in the room like for that moment, of like, I think that's like a message that I definitely want to tell my kids. So yeah, I do think about that.
That's cool.
That's got to be, I don't know, like really inspiring to think about, but also just like, I don't know, that's crazy to me, because you never know like how far something like that could reach. Like a lot of, same with clothing too, but like even more so with the book, because you're talking about the next generation, and hope that it just falls on like, in good hands.
Yeah. One thing I would say off that too is like, it was just sketch in my notebook, and like when we were talking about doubt earlier.
Yeah.
I was like when the teacher told me that, I was like a book, me, I really like, I don't see this. I don't see this happening. But I think there's so many talented people way more talented than me. And like that idea that you have that you're passionate about, like you never know what it could turn into, or you never know, like, you just never know like what something can turn into until you start taking those steps. So yeah, I'm just blessed with the way that turned out, and the way people like put things into place for me as well. Like of, okay, I'll let it into my store, or I'll get this for a kid in my family, or I'll share it. You really just never know until you just like let go of it and just like send it out and see what happens.
Yeah.
Can't let fear determine, what you're going to do. You just got to send it.
Yeah,
that's true.
Send it.
Yeah, that's good. Whenever it comes to like collaboration, do you have any big plans or dreams of like who you would like to bring on to collaborate with you in your work, whether it's writing or design, whatever?
Yeah. Honestly, I was talking before about like wanting to give people opportunities. I feel like that's more so I like to do like a collaboration, or like what Austin did the other night for you. A lot of artists just hosting a show. I feel like that's more so like what I could see myself doing. I don't really see myself as like a manager, like have people working. I think doing one-time collaborations is really fun. I'm inspired a lot by Matthew Williams, the Givenchy. I feel like that would be like big dream of just, I'm inspired by like some of that stuff I used to like not care about at all. But when I just see people doing art at a high level in like Paris and doing that kind of thing, it's cool.
Absolutely.
And like how Montel kind of elevated from there as well.
Yeah.
Just like, so not even necessarily like big names and stuff. Like it was cool that Austin was able to contribute that God is love part to the shoe. That was like missing part, but I feel like it was just kind of like meant to happen. So I think just whatever organically comes about, I'm just excited to see what happens.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. In a dream scenario, who would you really want to be a part of the movement?
Whether
it's collaborative or just get pieces in their hands.
Montel's had the book before. I would love to get him closed though.
Wow. Dude, that's
if he
amazing,
could,
man.
for me, it's like inspiring because I see like where people's tastes are at, and it could
Mm-hmm.
be like higher than mine is. They've been like, they won't just like you send it to them; they'll just like put it on because it's like, oh, they just sent it to me. Let me like be nice. That was kind of like why like Brandon like sharing it a lot with like meant a lot to me because I was like, okay, this actually not even to like that you need that for every piece because sometimes it'll only reach like a certain niche. But I would just say maybe like someone in the NBA like walking in to like the game day fit if they had like
the
shoes
you
on. So
got
that'd be
a pic on the League Fits Instagram.
Yeah, I got the Sistines on League Fits.
Really?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
but it was with Brandon who's retired. But
that's still awesome.
it would
dude.
be sick for someone to like wear something courtside or
Yeah.
walking into the game or like at like a fashion week or something even.
Yeah.
I mean, that's big dreaming, but
You never know,
Speaking
man.
of that, I know you like went to like Virgil's Celebration of Life service
Yeah.
or something like that down in Miami, right?
yeah.
And you were in close proximity to like Lorenzo. You got a pic with him.
Yeah.
Like, how was that? Like, just being in like close proximity with some of these people that you look up to.
I was definitely underdressed. Rest in peace to Virgil Abloh. It was definitely like powerful to see like the impact of his art.
Mm-hmm.
And like I would like listen to his interviews and stuff. I wasn't necessarily like big into what he was doing at the time, but seeing like, okay, he poured his heart into this. He like used the gifts he had, and this is what it meant to this many people.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a beautiful celebration. I left after my classes. I had like a presentation in one of my classes, and I was like, I really want to go to this like celebration of life service. And the professor was like, no, we got to do it for presentations today. And so I drew my name out of a hat and got to do it first. Then like did it and then just got out of there and went to the service, and I saw ASAP and Rihanna.
Dang.
I was like, "What's up, Flacco?"
Fresh off the Super Bowl.
like, "What's up, man?" So that was like, I was like, "Oh, they're just human beings, like us." I mean, they're just regular people. Like, I mean, like the book was saying, like everyone is good. We all have dignity and value from God, and I don't like. But just like seeing those people close by, it was like, I don't know. It's like watching all the music videos and listen to the music all the time. But then at the end of the day, like seeing the way they walk, it's like there's not really like God has definitely blessed them and given them opportunities. But I feel like a lot of times we have like the grass is greener idea of like, oh, my life would be so much better if I was in their shoes. It's just like, well, they're just human being like me.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, it was cool. I saw Matthew Williams there too, and seeing him up close was cool too because I was like, it's just this guy doing it at a high level.
How do you think social media has like impacted just like what you do and just the creative industry in general? Because we've talked about it before, but we like to ask like other creatives who we have on.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your opinions too, as like photographers and stuff. Of just like you might have a great photo, and then at the end of the day, it's like a 6 slide and an Instagram post. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like we definitely shouldn't be looking for like our approval or our validation from there, or like I think that's like a dangerous thing for a lot of creatives is, oh, it's just reduced to this, or like, oh, I like put something out and no one supported. It's like, honestly, like no one owes me anything. I'm super grateful. Like it's like shocking to me that someone would buy a shoe. You know what I mean? It's like, who am I to like design a shoe? And then seeing other like artists on Instagram too inspires me. But it's definitely, it can be a black hole as well.
Yeah.
I don't recommend going on there first thing in the morning or any of that. It's definitely not very important at all.
Do
I
you
would say.
what is your morning routine like? So you don't get on social media or try
No,
to stay away? That's a
I gotta
good-
follow my own advice. I'm not even saying that, but I don't have like morning routine that you'd see in like the day in the life videos where they.
Yeah.
I don't feel like some of the people in those videos do either.
Yeah, sometimes I question some of those day in the life.
Yeah.
Like, are you really doing that every day, every morning? But
I think the other thing that's hard that I'm like think through is like, oh, I have a brand. Does that mean I need to post 1,000 videos on TikTok or do all these reels to try to blow up? For me, it's fun to just have like I like being from Des Moines where a lot of people can't even pronounce Des Moines.
Yeah.
Or I'm in Florida telling people I'm from Iowa and they're like, Idaho, like what's Ohio, where? We're like, what's going on there? Nothing. I was like, okay. It's like I love the peace part of it.
Yeah.
And like being able to like, okay, I started with, a collection that went this direction and it all like does tie in, but it's like, I really can like have free reign. And that's kind of the fun part for me is just at the end of the day, like family, friends, like this is what important. Like, I don't think we need to like impress people on social media,
Yeah.
but
That's good.
it's kind of hard because you need to like, if someone's trying to do it full time, trying to monetize your art, it's like,
Right.
well, do you just post constantly? And
I mean, we kind of have to think about that ourselves a little bit as a podcast.
yeah.
Like,
Right.
and I feel like we're all on the same page that
Yeah.
this is a fun outlet for us.
Yeah.
And we trust God. Like, if it's meant to be and it's God's plan, then
Yeah.
it'll happen. But also, if it's not, then that's fine because we already enjoy doing it no matter what.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%.
Honestly, like what the heart behind the podcast was just connection, talk to people like yourself who we get better connected with you, what you do, and hopefully connect others with what you do. And I mean, really, like in a networking sense, you never know how far that could take you.
Yeah.
Because one person, the right person that listens to our podcast who is going to see, your work might really be interested in investing in it like bigger time. So yeah, it's all about like connection.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. Like, it's really dope to me that you guys are doing this.
Yeah, man.
I feel like this is like,
We're glad you're
this
on.
is the thing too, is like, well, if like we're on social media, it's just like the rat race to glorify ourselves. And it's like, well, what's really going to like happen from it? Like, I think we're all just like serving each other through our gifts.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the important part too.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like brought even more, not like, obviously I had the need before for my faith, but like just pouring in, get validation from God, like my creator, rather than seeing like, I don't care if something gets views or, you know what I mean? It's like seeing that side too of like with sports or different things like that. It's like, you do some of the like clips with like the viral dunks and things. It's like, if you have like a post that does like 1 million, like at the end of the day, this is kind of like my psychology major speaking. It's like, that's just like a big hit of dopamine.
Exactly.
But it's not like you're going to wake up the next day and like things are all good.
Yeah.
So
Finding value that's sustainable
Yeah.
is, I think, important. And like really if your identity is like worn on social media
Yeah.
or if your identity is in what you do and not who you are, if that thing is taken away from you, then it's like, what are you at the end of the day
Yeah.
when the rug gets pulled out from under you?
and what are you pouring into the art too? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. How are you approaching it?
What's
And
your
yeah,
source? Where is things even coming from? I
Absolutely.
feel like that's why a lot of the music is just like sad. And they're like,
It's true.
just trying to fill a void. It's like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, just from my own personal like faith experience, and like we all know this, like if you like try to live off of the world, like you're gonna gain nothing. But like if you put your trust in God and He's the source of what you do, and that's why you do it, you're just
Yeah.
gonna keep winning.
yeah,
100%.
it's worth if you gain the world and lose your soul.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
If you could If you could either go back in time and change anything, is there anything that you would change or anything about your art that you would invest more in or anything like that?
I don't think so. At the end of the day, I'm just grateful that, someone could get something out of the book, or like, someone can have something in their closet that every time they return to it, it's like reminding them of something. I think that's just like what it's about for me. So even the fact that that has happened is just like, okay, it's worth it. And like, I don't really, there are things that I'd probably like do differently in terms of like, I was just like losing money in the beginning. Like I wasn't a businessman. I was just, okay, this is art. How can I get it to people?
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I feel like without those experiences of something going wrong, or like, doing something that is like, that exposes a weakness of yours, like that's kind of how I've learned, where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not going to make that mistake again, or just like building that strength. So I feel like things that did go bad went bad for a purpose.
Sure.
And so I don't really regret anything.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every season, happens for a reason. That's what I believe.
Yeah. Absolutely. What would you give advice to for someone who either wants to get in the creative industry in clothing design, or just like, I mean, really everything that you do is passion project based. So like, what's some advice that you would give someone who's wanting to get into that as well?
I would say just focus on, like what you're consuming. Are you doing it just to like, be like, oh, this person's like making a lot of money doing it this way, so let me make designs that are just like that to cater to this type of person? I think I can really only speak from my own perspective, because I know like at the end of the day, I'm not making it for like an audience really. It's more so like, oh, like I see like what my grandpa wears every day. I wonder if I could make something with like like, I wonder if I could design something that's my brand that would be something that he would love, But then I also meet someone on the street who might have like totally different beliefs than me, but I'm like, oh wow, they're really like, they've got good taste in this, or I like the way they dress. And then like, oh, they might get like the purple Sistine shorts because, they like something more loud, or it's just like, I feel like for me, it's more so like about connection. So I would just, if someone's trying to make it like sustainable and like keep their heart in it, I'd guess, is like, make it about connection, make it about your customer at the end of the day. Or not really like even customer, just like someone who's gonna be receiving the gift. Like reverse engineer, make it about them, rather than like just blank numbers, or what can I do that's easy to market, or this is hot right now, because that's gonna pass quick, Yeah. That's gonna be just like snap of a finger. It's like, okay, you did that, but like if it wasn't actually rooted in connecting with somebody, then it's just like, I don't even know. I wouldn't want to like keep things like that, at least if I was buying it, Yeah. So I think return customers are important, or like building an actual base where it means something. So
instead of building depth with your people.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way I feel about it. I would rather have like tiny, like little boutique, and it's just like serving these people. And it's like, but it means something to them at the end of the day. Well, it's easy for me to say that too, because I'm not relying on it for, for feeding me.
Right.
But for someone who's just an artist and wants to keep their art going and keep it intentional for them, that's what I would say. It's just, and also like, just like put your heart into it, whatever is going through at the time. Like speak what's on your heart. I feel like that's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
Because trying to like say what you think someone would say or think someone would like. I mean, at the end of the day, kind of like tying back to the book, like God created you with your mind. Like you are God's will, that you exist. So offer what you have, because you're a gift and it's unrepeatable, unique.
There's only one Dylan, one Marquis, one
Yeah.
Ethan,
Yeah,
one me, one everybody.
100%.
it's true,
Yeah.
man.
I want to ask something. So you were saying like one of the challenges that you'll face is just like that self-doubt.
Yeah.
And I know like a lot of us feel that at times.
Yeah.
So what is something that you could say to a listener that's like that could help them get through that self-doubt? Like what helps you get through that?
Yeah. I would say seek wise counsel too, because it's like, okay, if what's going on in my head is slowing me down or making me want to give up on something, then but then like a lot of times with the doubt, well, then you'll give like a lot of weight to something, like to someone you look up to. It's like, oh, what they say means a lot though. So I would say just like seek wise counsel and like going to people that you trust. And the best one for that, like just like asking Jesus, like, show me, like, remind me who I am, or like, show me why it's this way, or like, what can happen out of this. Like, even like the doubt in itself is like would things be easier if we just never doubted? I mean, sure, but I don't think we'd be like as strong or resilient, or like, that's kind of like where our relationships come from, is we're all struggling together too. So I would say don't like just keep going, but then also like pour into other people, ask for help. Because I would just, ask for help, because if you're trying to do it all on your own, plus like you're just fighting yourself like mentally, it's very easy to lose motivation or lose sight of the value that you have too. So just seek truth.
Yeah.
Because the truth at the end of the day isn't, that you don't have the potential to do it, or you're no good. Like at the end of the day, that's not the truth talking. So
Yeah,
That's really good. Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that.
yeah, man. That was all really good. We end the podcast the same way every week, and we all go around and talk about one thing that's inspired us this last week. So if anyone else wants to go first, otherwise I have mine. So
You can go first.
all right, mine is the overall Des Moines creative community. I had a really busy week this last week, and I got to check out Precious for the first time, and I hung out with Alex and Corey for like the whole afternoon and just watched. I was working, but also watching them work on projects and watching them do their thing and listening to how they interacted with people they were working with, which was sick. I got coffee with 2 other creatives, which was just like really cool. People I know, and then I also got to play keys for an event that was really cool. But like just like the band that we had was very tight knit, and everyone just brought a different piece and a different element, like instrumentally, vocally, that just was really fun. And I got to help direct it with another buddy of mine who hopefully we'll have on the podcast soon. But I think it's just cool. Like we've touched on this so much, but like I don't think we can really emphasize it enough. Like the Des Moines creative community is like really tight knit, and it's also like really special. I've been a part of a lot of different areas, and like whenever I was living in Arkansas, I'd pull up to like different styled shoots or do like different photo shoots or video, and it was cool. Like there's a lot of like, a lot of close knit there too, but it really wasn't the same as what I see here. And there's a lot of different elements to that, but I think that's just really cool. Getting to meet people like you on the podcast, it's super cool, man. So
great to meet you as well. I mean, this is like what it's all about. I love Des Moines personally. I'm just like,
dude, I'm falling more in love with
this
it.
is home.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's why I really appreciate like you guys doing a show like this too, because we know in like Kansas City or Minneapolis or Chicago, like at the end of the day, the states are like similar to Iowa.
Yeah.
When you really think about it. But I think Des Moines, we have a lot of talent here, so it's
it's underrated.
Yeah, it is.
It's only a matter of
It's kind
time.
of fun though.
Yeah.
It is. It's kind of like the younger brother that you just don't suspect a lot.
Yeah.
You just like
Low
see-
key for now.
Yeah.
Dark horse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hidden gem.
Just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait though.
Anyone
You
else?
go ahead, Noah.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Mine's not anything super deep or anything like that. Definitely not deep, but I really enjoyed Lil Yachty's new album.
Let's go. Yeah.
I've always loved hip hop and rap. And like I was never a Lil Yachty fan though. Like just to be completely honest. But like as I have grown up, like high school, I was really into hip hop and like R&B, rap, but transitioning out of that and kind of becoming more of my own person, and also like honestly, my relationship with Michaela, who's my fiance now, like she changed a lot of my music taste too. So then I was really getting into like different genres of music, and I really started gravitating towards like, you know, Tame Impala and like indie and like stuff like that. And
That's deep in my playlist right now.
yeah, and so if you like Tame Impala, I think you'll like Yachty's album because it's very like psychedelic and like very it's very like it's not what I was expecting out of him, and I love that because he got away from probably what you would consider comfortable.
Yeah.
And he experimented with something new, and that inspires me with my self-exploration because I can like really just find myself gravitating towards the same thing all the time. Like I'm really into like minimalism, and so a lot of my style is very simplistic, but I realize like there is more to, you know, just like design than that as well. And so like seeing an artist, you know, like Yachty go a different route and do something that is like different has kind of just inspired me to like try new things too, you know?
Sure. I love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
It's cool too because I like went from Yachty to Tame Impala.
Yeah.
Because I didn't listen to that type of music before that album.
Yeah.
But
Dang, that's crazy.
But like even like you were saying, like Michaela putting you onto like a totally new thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's like what I like to do, like through the art too. It's like, okay, there's this really cool thing I found in my life, but yeah, I can tell my friends about it, but how could I tell someone I never met? It's like we get to do that through the things we're creating. So
Yeah.
that's the best part. I'd say for my inspiration, I was watching. So shout out to Dowling and to Caitlin Clark. I was watching the game today.
Yeah.
And I could tell she just wanted the ball for the last shot, and like just seeing that confidence too. Like in the interview, they were like, "So what did you think? Like when it left your finger?" And she was like, "Honestly, it was money."
I love
I
Caitlin
know,
Clark.
it's just cool because I know like she has the humility, and like I know she has like the relationship with God, and she's
She's a
like,
good
all about
one.
her family. But it's like it's okay to be be confident too, because I feel like I don't know. That's just something growing up where we get like so much mixed messages about. I think it's just like there's kind of like a not like a stigma, but it's like like that person's like full of themselves or like things like that.
Some
But
people mix like confidence with pride and not
Yeah.
being like humble, but also like confidence is also like passion too, though.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you could be really like confident about something that you're good at and like prideful in it, but in a good way. Like,
Yeah.
Like you're passionate about it, not
Yeah.
just because you're full of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and she's passionate about basketball in this case.
Yeah.
And so obviously she's gonna be like, yeah, like I needed that ball in my hands.
Yeah, and she's doing a lot too for like the sports. Like,
Mm-hmm.
well, when you have someone like that, well, it's like, okay, now let's call the NCAA tournament March Madness for the women too. Like when she was a freshman, they didn't even call it March Madness.
Yeah.
It's like they don't like give them anything, but it's like you need people to kind of break those glass ceilings or break those boundaries.
Yeah.
So it's cool just seeing that, like, you know, God creating someone for a great purpose, giving them a great gift, but they're giving it up and they're like not apologizing about it. It's just cool because, you know, going back to like the doubt conversation and things, it's like, well, it's easy to get beat up with that, but at the end of the day, there's like a brightness at the end of the tunnel that if you can get to, it's just like freedom and joy. You can walk in. So
Yeah.
100%. Cool. So I was part of Neil's art show this past weekend, which was pretty cool. Shout out to him for having me. Got to meet a lot of dope people, dope artists in Des Moines. Like you guys said, Des Moines is full of a lot of really talented artists. So that was really cool for me. Got a chance to show some of my landscape photography, which I really don't get to do a lot of anymore.
I want to see it.
With doing a lot of film stuff. So yeah, that was really good. Got a lot of chance to meet great people. Pretty sure we'll have some of those people on here. But yeah, definitely shout out Neil for inviting me to that. So
yeah, my flight was a few hours after that. I'm a little bit sad about that.
but he'll do it again. So
For sure.
you'll definitely have to pull up next time he does it. So
That's awesome. I want to see those photos too.
oh yeah, I got you.
Absolutely. Man, thanks for being on.
Thanks so much for
Seriously,
having
thanks
me.
for taking an evening out, and it's good, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is the Creative Point of View podcast, and we'll see you next time.